Tales from the wild. Stories from the heart. A journey into the mind and soul of fired-up business professionals where they share their vision for the future. And hear from a different non-profit organization every month as they create awareness of their goals and their needs. Dive into a world of untamed passion as we join our host, Shireen for this month's episode of Friends from Wild Places.
Well, hello everybody. Goeiedag professionals. Shireen here. I'm your virtual bookkeeper and QuickBooks advisor from Shireen's Bookkeeping Services. I'm here to help service-based business owners stay on top of their books from anywhere with quick and easy workflows. Yes, that's what I said, from anywhere. Where nothing gets lost and everything reflects straight onto your QuickBooks online platform. No more papers. Just scan it and send it to me to my special QuickBooks email where I can do my magic. But Shireen, I don't have QuickBooks. Well, don't worry. I'll set that up all for you. It's all part of the package deal. So if you want to know more, make me your bookkeeper today at www.shireensbookkeeping.com and keep your books clean. All right. Welcome. Hello. Welcome to the show. Welcome back. If you're listening, thank you for spending some time in your day to continue listening to my horrible ramblings. So, but welcome. There's clearly something that you enjoy about it. That's why you're still here. So, welcome. This is Shelby De Leon, owner of Shelby De Leon Insurance Agency with Farmers Insurance. I'm so excited you're here. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Shireen. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. How's life going?
Life is good, no complaints. In this day and age, I think, as long as we have good health, there's not really much else to talk about. So, just staying healthy and trying to be proactive in that field as well, whether it be hiking and trying to eat good and keep my immune system up.
Right. That's so cool. Yeah, Shelby is zooming in from California, specifically the Marin area. Am I right?
You are correct. I'm right in Novato. So I'm in Marin County, kind of the northern end of it. And Novato is Novato. Sometimes gets mixed up with Nevada, which is out in Reno. But no, we are Novato.
Right.
So
I get confused. I did get confused. A Novato and a Novado, right?
Novato and a Nevada.
Nevada, right. See, I'm learning. Right. I'll get there. USA is a large area, but I'm all about learning about different countries. So that's cool.
My pronunciation doesn't help, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, Shelby, I've just gotten back from backpacking / road tripping to the Kalahari. That was pretty amazing. I am very happy to be safe at home in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, which is where I call home at this point in time, which is the complete opposite side of where I was in the Kalahari. Massive difference in climates, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it was definitely a time which I told you, Shelby, was time just to reset and to remind myself of what's important in life. And it also ended up being quite a testing time for me. Any experience you go through, I believe, is lesson learned. So I had a couple of experiences while there. And one of them, I went for about a 12K hike, a sunset hike, and about 2 hours of it was spent in pitch darkness.
Wow.
I had my little lamp, my headlamp, but please understand that headlamp is to show you where you are stepping your foot. It doesn't necessarily tell you the distance that's in front of you and can many times play tricks with your eyes. So it's a different kind of darkness. It's in the middle of nowhere in Kalahari. So I think I did a couple of turns that I shouldn't have, which led me to suddenly have an overwhelming feeling of doubt. I started doubting myself. And because I was in utter darkness and I couldn't even see anything, I started getting a little bit claustrophobic. And the confusion started rising up inside of me, and the fear. And suddenly I wasn't so confident anymore in my skill or anything. And I remember I turned around and I stopped going in the direction that I was going, and I started walking in the opposite direction, doubting myself. And then I stopped after taking a few steps, turned back and went in the other direction. And I felt confusion. I felt a little bit, fearful and doubt. And I had to stop myself and I had to center myself, and whether that be whatever you need to do. For me, I just need to feel the cold air as it was getting really cold. I needed to breathe in that cold air and feel it in my lungs and just center myself and quiet my mind, which is not that easy. And then just a little voice inside my head just said, keep going the same direction you were heading in the first place. So that's what I did. And I just remind myself that I can't get lost and I can do this. And I just headed on into the dark in the same direction that I was going from the beginning, and added a couple of extra hours. But you know what? I found my way back to base camp. And the reason I'm telling you the story is that is a lesson learned. Everyone has experiences, and was my lesson learned, because in life, things get dark. Things get dark, things get tough. Situations become overwhelming and directions are not clear, and you do get overwhelmed and you do get scared and flustered and confused and claustrophobic, and you don't know if you're making the right decision. And you need to be still, and you need to just stand still wherever you are, be still, be centered, and just listen for that direction, that small voice. I don't know what you believe in. Everyone is welcome here. Everyone is welcome here. So when I say I just wait for that small voice, that for me is my God speaking to me and directing me in the direction that I should go, whatever it is for you guys, that's, totally understandable and respected and loved. And as I said, this is a very open door and everyone is welcome here. So for me, that's what you got to do in life, because life does that to you. It gets dark, it gets confusing. So
Makes us question ourselves. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great story. I love it.
Thank you. And I thought I'd just share that with you. So Shelbs, let's get into you and how I know you. Once again, Shelby and I are part of the same networking group. And I know I've mentioned this before, but it's important that everyone understands that as a professional and a business owner, it is very crucial for you to be part of a networking group. It's your tribe, it's your team, and it's really important. You got to find the one that suits your personality and obviously your business type. So that's how Shelby and I met each other. We have that networking group called High Performance Referrals at BNI, which is actually a permanently online group, which meets on Zoom every Tuesday at 7 a.m. at PST time, that's Pacific Standard Time, every Tuesday. And if you are looking for a networking group and you're looking around and you want to try a few and see which ones best suit you and you want to try us, you're more than welcome. Really, you are. All we ask you to do is either email me if you're listening to Shireen at shireensbookkeeping.com. That's Shireen at shireensbookkeeping.com. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, please leave your information down below in the comment box and tell us a little bit about yourself. Same in the email. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your business, and then we'll get you in here and come and visit. No strings attached. There's no obligations. You don't have to join, right, Shelbs? You can just come and be part of the team for the morning,
Meet us, take our info down, and just have a new connection for life. So you never know when either we can help you or you may be able to help us.
Right.
Yep.
I don't think I did mention this, hey, Shelby, that we are part of BNI, which is Business Networking International. So Yeah, I know we've got a couple of categories that are missing from our group.
Hmm.
Do you have it offhand, Shelby? I think I do.
I do have some of them. I know we're a growing chapter, so always looking to fill new seats and to bring other professionals in. I think right now we have a big focus. I know attorneys are one that are coming up a lot. That could be, estate attorneys, could be personal injury attorneys.
Right.
I
I
know
don't know.
me specifically, I'm looking for a commercial insurer. That's always great because my position in the group is personal lines. So I'll handle all auto, home, and recreational. And a lot of times it's good to have someone who does what I'm not doing for the group, which would be commercial. And then they kind of can pass me all personal stuff, and I can pass them all commercial. And it creates a really, really beautiful little rhythm we have, and we
Right.
constantly pass business on. So
Mhm.
I know there's other positions that we're looking for.
Yes, for me, I know I'm looking for CPA and an enrolled agent. There is also attorneys as different attorneys. We do need architects, engineers, and contractors, interior design, as well as a graphic designer. Yeah, you can jump in here if you think of anything, Shelby, but I think from the top of my head, those are the main things. But if we haven't mentioned any of your categories, that means, we're still open for your type of business. So come and visit anyway. But if you are any of these categories that we've mentioned, and you can either do the business like a graphic designer from anywhere in the world, and you want to join us as a permanently online group, or you are locally based. We serve the Bay Area, California, locally based. So if you are from the Bay Area and you are any of these categories or a category we haven't mentioned, again, please message us. Come and visit us. There's no strings attached. So yes, that is
One
how Shelby and I met, was through BNI. And so a little bit more about Shelby. It was great talking about that. And I'll probably mention it a couple of times so you guys will be bored of me, but I think it's really important. But let's get into it. So Shelby, please tell us about yourself and your background.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to. One thing before I jump on, just to add with the seats with our chapter, just something I feel like is important to know. We
Yes.
really are heavy. We have a lot of members that are marketing. So if there is anyone else who's got some kind of niche in marketing, we have a great platform already for that. With a lot of our current members are heavy in marketing, and that team is ready to go. So if you have a marketing niche, it may be a perfect fit for what our current chapter has in place. So definitely reach out.
Right.
And I will I'll segue into a little bit about me and what I do.
Cool.
So I am in insurance, and as Shireen mentioned, my business is Shelby De Leon Insurance Agency, and I'm with Farmers Insurance. So Farmers Insurance is a wonderful company, and then I have the benefit of being able to sell their products, use their whole team branding, and then also basically as a insurance broker, I'm an independent contractor, so I have a contract with farmers. And I'm pretty much just building my business out this way. I'd say for purposes of our networking group, I focus on auto and home. My catchphrase, everyone in my group knows it. If you can drive in it or you can sleep in it, then I can insure it. And really, I love our group and the people. We really are just transparent people. We have great intentions, and we're really looking out not just for ourselves but others. And really seems like we all treat each other like they're either our own brother, sister, mom, dad. And really that's what I'd say our feel is for our group. It's really good people. So, and there's nothing like being able to send or have connections with people that we can send to our friends and family and have just the utmost, there's not an ounce of doubt that they're going to take care of our people. And that's just, you can't put a price on that. So
Yeah. One
then
of
I
the
will,
values is definitely building relationships. And if anything, that's probably one of the best parts for me personally.
yes. And as you talk to others, we all find value in different areas, but that's definitely going to be a common factor. Everyone you talk to, it's building relationships, and the relationships we have built. And this even goes for members that have come or left. We're still working with the people that we met, through this platform. So it's excellent.
Right. So a little bit about your background. Where do you come from? Where did you
So I
grow
was
up?
born. Yeah, no, thank you. I did grow up here in California. I've been in the Bay Area my entire life, in Marin County specifically, kind of all around Marin County though. I grew up in this, my childhood is really in like southern Marin. And if you're from the area, then you'll know kind of Corte Madera, that whole southern area. first through fourth grade, went to Basage. And then my family, we just moved around with all the different changes that happened in the world. So ended up in Novato, went to high school here. And I did have, my family was young. I kind of come from undisciplined family, just the labor field that my mom and dad both were working. So they worked all the time. So I'd come home and didn't really have discipline. So I kind of was able to get myself into trouble. And I will say, before you know it, I was, in the middle of high school and going down the wrong road. So I will say I guess for me in the movement in life is just anything can happen. I just think everyone deserves second chances. Everyone deserves opportunity. And that's something for me in my business that I want to offer to others. I want to build a platform, give other people opportunities like I was given. And it really is never too late. Sometimes we need either to believe in ourselves or find someone who can believe in us when we can't kind of see the light, And I'd say for me, just to rip the Band-Aid off, I ended up not graduating high school. I have a GED, some college background, and then I really was in the labor field for about 10 years. And I always knew I wanted to earn money with my mind and not necessarily my body. And my dad being a painting contractor, watching him hobble around and still work is something that no one wants to be 65 trying to get on their knees and paint a baseboard. So I think my segue into insurance was I was in the labor field and I started to work in an insurance office from basically 3 to 5 p.m., 2 hours a day. And then I got licensed and started to build clientele until I could segue, quit my day job, and became a full-time insurance professional. And then worked for somebody for about 5 years, really got good background, really good education. The agency I worked for are some of the best agents in the state, had been doing it for 30 years. So I got a really good crash course on this profession and ended up opening my own agency and just still trying to do what's right and make a difference in the world however I can.
Yeah, that's so cool. And you're doing exactly that, Shelby. So thank you for that.
Thanks for asking.
And then I know you touched on it, but tell us a little bit more about what you do.
So I offer insurance services, but unique to that is, we're in sales and this is a really sales driven field, but that's not really a part of my personality. Everyone likes to make sales, make money, but really my value is what I love the most about my job is, we set up appointments with my client base every 12 to 18 months. I love checking in with my clients, seeing what changes have happened in life.
Right.
So really that's what I do. I just offer insurance services, people's auto, home. I am licensed for life commercial, but again, my main focus and my specialty is really going to be your personal lines. And that's what I do. I look out for families, help educate people with the coverages and really tell them, from my experience, what we see in the world, what people need. And we try to custom tailor insurance for individuals.
Nice. Okay. Well, since you do education, please educate me, because when it comes to insurance, I think there are a lot of questions that a lot of people don't want to ask, but don't ask. And then when the crunch time comes or something really horrible in your life happens, whether it's got to do with any of the things that are insured, your household, your house, your household things, your car, whatever it is that you've insured, if something goes wrong, a lot of people find out the hard way that what they thought was covered was not covered. So because of that, I'd like to go a little bit into what is liability. And also, when I think of the word liability, I think of responsibility. But in the fine writing, there's clearly those little loopholes, if you want to call it. And I'd really like to get into that. Specifically, if someone else is driving your car and you get into a fender bender, who's liable?
Got it. No, great question. So the confusing thing with insurance is it's different state to state. So when you find an insurance agent like me, for example, I'm licensed in California. So I know California insurance and it's going to be different. Rules are different. How the state may handle liability could be different. Some states are no fault states. Others, like California here, we are an at fault state, which means we do try to put responsibility on someone, or we either share that responsibility or share the liability.
Right.
So I'd say, to answer your question specifically, which is a great question, if someone borrows your car, this is a misconception a lot in our industry. We get this question all the time.
Right.
People assume, like me, for example, let's say I have full coverage, a really nice car, really high insurance, and let's say I borrow your car. Well, my insurance has nothing to do with your vehicle. So my insurance follows my car, your insurance follows your car. And this is at least for the state of California. So if someone borrows your vehicle, your insurance is primary. Your insurance pays. And if there's not enough there, depending upon who that person is driving your car and what carrier they have,
Mm-hmm.
there may be additional coverage there if they want to pay. So a
Okay.
lot of people think, so if you're getting into someone's car and you don't know if they have insurance or not, you could be getting into trouble by borrowing that person's car, driving an uninsured vehicle,
Right.
and assuming that they even have coverage, or, it's word of mouth again. So,
Right. Right.
so
How
yeah, great.
different do you think it's between states? Is it massively different?
Just because I'm not educated enough in those
I mean,
states,
I'm
I
South
can't
African, so
say.
I'm talking from a South African point of view.
I have no idea how you guys handle stuff in South
No,
Africa.
you need to obviously talk from a Californian point of view because that's what you specialize in. But I feel like it's roughly very similar. But at the end of the day, the lesson to be learned would be to go and ask these very specific questions to make
Yes,
sure
yes.
you are covered in these situations.
Yep,
Right?
yep. I would say if you're ever traveling somewhere, let's say I'm going to go visit you, Shireen, and you tell me I can borrow your car, no problems. What I probably would do is I'd call my insurance professional in
That's
California, and I
nice.
would tell him and then my advice would be I would tell Shireen, call your insurance company and ask them, if this person drives my vehicle, are they covered? If they are covered, is it the same limits as I currently have? Because what we also see, sometimes an insurance company will say, we're going to cover our drivers for X amount, right? $1 million.
Right.
But if the neighbor Sam wants to come over and borrow the car, well, we're going to lower our coverages to the state minimum, which generally is a really low amount and could leave someone for exposure. So even you as an owner of the car, letting someone borrow your vehicle, and let's say they get into an accident and they're only going to cover a really small portion,
Mm-hmm.
well, who's responsible for the other amount? Is it going to be
Right.
the driver or the car that caused the damage?
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm not an attorney again, but a lot of times we can see, or I've seen it either split, sometimes whose car that is, it's their responsibility to know what those limits will pay. And they could ultimately be responsible for that accident if there was not enough coverage.
Right.
So it is layered, but that's a great question. And I hope someone learns, just always call your insurance carrier. If you ever have questions, don't assume ever.
Right. Okay.
That's what
Well,
I'll leave you with.
then we'll come back to this question on a different level. If you could maybe think of an example,
Mhm.
maybe of a house fire or something, a disaster that happened that your client had to learn a lesson, or maybe it was covered in the situation, or something we can definitely reflect on. So think of a story, because you obviously have many, I'm sure.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Got lots.
but in the meantime, please go ahead and just tell us why you do what you do. What was that one experience that happened in your life that made you realize that this is what you wanted to do?
Yep.
Or
Okay.
maybe you
No,
didn't
great.
have an experience. Maybe it was just an opening position and you were like, I'll take it.
Yeah, no, great question. I think definitely with insurance. So I kind of mentioned before, my background was, I was a kind of a wild child. I really think when you come up in this world, right, you either come from really educated families, teach us how to properly plan. And then some of us come from families where we wing it, and I guess for me, I really did have more of a wing it upbringing. But, part of that is I got into accidents as a young kid. I always knew insurance, always knew the importance of it. When I was a young 18-year-old in the labor field, you can make good money. So I did buy myself a nice car and ended up totaling it a couple weeks later. And it was a first experience in insurance, the importance of it and how it works, and how that plan I hadn't even made a payment on. I'd owned the car 2 weeks and totaled it. So that was really where I was amazed that I got coverage for a vehicle, got paid out for it, and realized, we all make mistakes, accidents happen, and I'm the first to admit and be accountable that other accidents are going to happen. And how can I plan for, if an accident happens, that at least that there's going to be enough money for either somebody or something.
Right,
So I'd
definitely.
say that was kind of, my segue into it. And then the more I got educated and more I learned about the importance, like, for example, I'm the first person in my family who has life insurance. I think even as a young kid, you grow up and I'm worried, what if something happens to my dad or my mom? They don't have life insurance.
Exactly.
So when I got it, it was also a sense of pride. It was also a sense of like, this is life, insurance is important again. We all need this for security for the people we love. It's even unspoken security that, you don't think about, just knowing that's in place.
Exactly.
So I'd really say it was those things, kind of looking at my background, knowing how I wanted to bring me and my family up and have a different upbringing as well. And learning these things, planning is very important. So
Awesome.
I'd say that's got to be my segue into insurance, is just from wing it to planning it. And I really believe in planning and
Nice.
yeah, hoping for
Well,
the best and planning for the worst.
that's right.
Yep,
So
yep,
that's
yep.
going to lead into my next question of what is your vision? You touched on a little bit, but could you go into a little bit more about what your vision is for your business and where you want to go with it?
Yeah, so I'd say it's really going to be to, we all have insurance has negative misconceptions again, where we're salespeople, all these things. So really my vision is to get rid of that. I really pride myself in earning trust. We're very considerate with people's money. Some people don't want to show you a price because they think we're somehow going to manipulate our price to that price. But really, I mean, it's like our systems and the way rating works. It's like a calculator. You put in the data and it tells you what the price is with that exposure. So I'd say it really is my vision would be to have insurance be more of a trusting thing, an open trusting that we're looking out for your best interests, protect families so they can go and live their life to their fullest. And again, open up opportunities for others.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yep.
That is so cool. Last question. Actually, no, second to last question. What do you want people to know about what you do?
Ooh, well, that's a great question. What do I want people to know? Really what I guess I don't know. That's a hard one to answer.
I think it's
We re-
really, you actually just mentioned a little bit about it, that how important it is to have insurance on your house and your car and even your life, because if anything, we have learned that tomorrow is not guaranteed, and don't wait for something horrible to happen before you get insurance
Mhm.
signed and sorted. I would hate anyone to be stuck in a position like that,
No, yeah, and when you hear it or you see it, it's the worst. You find out someone who didn't have coverage or a life that's lost and what families have to do, whether it's a GoFundMe or
Right, right.
not having
Well,
enough to
Shelby,
recover. Yeah, it's heavy.
yes, yeah. Well, Shelby, thank you so much for joining me today. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it, and all your information is so needed. Again, insurance is a little bit vague, and I think a lot of people make a lot of mistakes when it comes to getting insured and what they get insured and how they get insured.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, so thank you for joining me on this podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Um,
I really do appreciate it.
Well, talk about podcasts. I need to talk to you guys a little bit about Buzzsprouts, because it is hands down the easiest and best way to launch, promote, and track your podcast. Your show can be online and listed in all the major podcast directories like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more within minutes of finishing your recording. I use Buzzsprouts and I absolutely love it. It's a one-stop shop for all you need to start a podcast. And I'm not talking about equipment, but even there, you can start off with the small stuff and then build up on your equipment. What I'm actually talking about is you don't have to go anywhere. You can do everything from one platform, buzzsprout.com. So following the link in the show notes lets Buzzsprout know we sent you. Gets you a $20 Amazon gift card if you sign up for a paid plans. It helps support our show. Let's create something great together. Yeah, so I want to lead into the next part of our segment of our show, and that is the nonprofit section. And today I have someone representing Habitat for Humanity, which is also one of my favorites. So I am super excited to introduce the next person, which is Danielle Stroud. Let's admit her. Let's see. Danielle, can you hear us? Hello. Oh, she's connecting. Hi.
Hi.
Hi,
Morning.
Danielle. Welcome.
Thank you. How's it going, guys?
Awesome,
good.
awesome. Yeah, we were talking about insurance. We'll get into that again just now, but we wanted to welcome you onto Friends from Wild Places. Thank you so much for taking the time in your day to join us. This is, to all those that are listening, is Danielle Stroud. She is the Chief Executive Officer from Habitat for Humanity of Lake Sumter, Florida, USA. She is also part of the BNI group, networking group. Specific chapter is called Golden Triangle from the Florida side of the world. So we are so excited to have you on board with us today. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, awesome. So let's go straight into some of the questions that I have for you. First one I want to know is just a little bit about yourself and your background.
Sure. So I've been working in the nonprofit sector for over 10 years now. And, it's been an interesting path and how I got here. But about myself personally, I love what I do. I teach yoga on the side. That's something that I enjoy doing. I have a husband and 2 little boys, so they definitely keep me very busy. So when I do get free time to myself, it's usually enjoying solitude. So yoga is great, hiking, gardening, things like that. So, and I've been at Habitat for 7 years, a little over 7 years.
Awesome.
So yeah.
That is so cool. How great is this team? We have the outdoorsy team. Well, Shelby loves hiking. Shelby loves camping as well. Hey, Shelby. So
Awesome.
And yoga.
and
Yeah.
yoga,
Big yoga.
yes.
So yeah.
Maybe combine them all together, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Right. Hot yoga, isn't it? Specifically, Shelby?
I love hot yoga. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. Me too.
Yeah.
I like to practice several different types, but that's definitely one. It's good. Gets your heart rate up.
Awesome. Yep. Anything for that. Yeah. Good health.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. So there's lots of connections here, and I love that. So how did you get involved with Habitat for Humanity, Danielle? You
Great
said
question.
that you were quite
So-
involved with the nonprofits for so many years, but why Habitat for Humanity?
Yeah. So, like I said, when I was younger, I wanted to help people. That's all I knew. I didn't really know what the avenues were for that. So I kind of, through my AmeriCorps service, this was a couple years after I graduated from college, through my AmeriCorps service, I discovered the world of nonprofits. And at that time, I was working for an environmental nonprofit. And over the course of the years, I found my way working at a very large food bank. And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed having the opportunity to, see the challenges that are in the world. And sometimes they're very hard to face, right? Some people don't like to face them because they don't really know what to do about it. And so I had the opportunity to get to work with people who were interested in looking at solutions and saw people for just as what they are, which is everybody is the same. We all need the same basic needs. So I got a lot of experience through that. And when I moved back to Florida, because I was in Arizona, when I moved back to Florida, I was looking for that same type of opportunity to create change in the world. And so I found Habitat for Humanity here in Central Florida. And that was, like I said, a little over 7 years ago, and been loving it ever since. So, the ability to invest in people in our communities and throughout the world is meaningful work to me. So it's not just a job, it's an opportunity for me to do something great.
That's awesome. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you do there as your title.
Sure. So I recently took over in November. So I get all the loving responsibility now that bears down on my shoulders, but I was ready to accept that. So here in our affiliate, I get to meet with a lot of amazing people in the community. So as with any nonprofit, you have to build awareness, you have to build partnerships and relationships. So, my day-to-day is really meeting with not only policymakers, but also other community influencers, whether it's asking them for money or encouraging them to get engaged or involved on a policy change or an issue. So really, I'm a people person, right? So that's definitely one of my strengths. So I get to utilize that in a day-to-day aspect of my job. But of course, I have to also do the other stuff, with the financial oversight and working with our employees to make sure that they're excelling and, things like that. So I get a lot of diversity in what I do, which is pretty cool too.
Well, congratulations on your new position. It's a little bit late, but that's awesome.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah. So talking about Habitat for Humanity now, what is their mission, vision, and values?
Yeah. So our mission is to bring people together to build homes, community, and hope, right? So we have a global network, and then here locally in the United States, we operate under a federation, which really the easiest way to explain that is similar to a franchise. So what unites us all is that shared mission. We all operate under that same mission. And our vision is a world where everyone has a safe place to call home, right? So that looks very different in different countries, of course. So that's very broad strokes of we believe everyone deserves a safe place to rest their head. And then our values are, really tied around collaboration is huge. That's a huge part of the Habitat thread because, like I said, in our mission, we're really looking to unite people and everyone coming together around a unified goal. And then so teamwork is really big and inclusivity and kind of looking at things from a unique perspective. Just because something's been done this way for always does not mean it has to continue to be done that way.
That's true.
And sometimes that's very difficult because you're dealing with a lot of systemic issues that have been around for a long time. And you have a lot to try to push and overcome and create change. So yeah, that's who we are and what we do.
That is awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Talking about what you do, you said it's like a franchise. So if we could go a little bit more into detail about how it would work internationally and locally. So for example, how do you choose the families that you build houses for locally? And then for internationally, what happens? How do you guys decide that if a disaster hits somewhere in the world, how do you decide that you're going to actually help and reach out there?
Sure. So I can speak to our local affiliate. We serve Lake County and Sumter County right here in the heart of Central Florida. So our neighbor in Orlando, right, they're a much larger metropolitan area. So the way in which they operate their program might differ slightly. Some habitats here in the United States, when you look at homeownership, some of them only have a homeownership program, and others also have repair programs or different facets of housing solutions. So here in our local affiliate, we do both because we're a large affiliate, right? By head count, there's about 500,000 people in our region, but compared to other areas, that's very small population-wise. So that's why some of the diversity exists in the way in which we deliver the programs and services at that grassroots level. So here locally, for our families, it's first come, first qualified, right? So the families are looked at based on their need for the housing. Do they have somewhere to live right now or not? And then are they willing to partner with us? So every family in the homeownership program at our affiliate has to serve 200 hours of what we call sweat equity, which is basically volunteerism. It's them investing in the program, in building their house, or doing any activity that they have the time and ability to do throughout the program year. So the need, their ability to work with us, and then also their income and credit score matter. So Habitat homeowners are just like other homeowners. They're just not buying their house in the open market. They're buying it through us because we're able to build it in a more cost-efficient way, as well as subsidize it for them. So they're walking away from the closing table, just like any other homeowner would. They're paying for their taxes, their insurance, and an affordable mortgage. So we look at affordability on a monthly schedule here in the United States.
Right.
So, and if, the affiliate Orlando may keep a list of families who apply and then go through it with them. We build more of a spec home. So we build a home, we open the application, families can come to us and make application, and then we go through, like I said, on that first come, first qualified basis to place the family. Yep. So internationally speaking, like I said, depending upon where you are in the world, the approach and how that habitat is working boots on the ground might look very different. So some countries might be looking at sanitation and rights to land, which is huge because it's really hard to create stable housing if someone's going to come and take the land away from you and bulldoze down whatever you have built.
Right.
So there's a lot of access issues that are looked at internationally. So when you look at the Habitat network, we all have connectivity to each other, like I said, but we're really hyper-focused on our region. when you look internationally, a lot of those habitats are connected and under one umbrella, but they're operating similarly as we do, where they're really knowing the knowledge base is there in that host country, and how they're going to run those programs and services are delivered through the lens of the local people, which makes sense, of course.
Right. Yeah. That is awesome. Okay. And then on that, can people volunteer and donate other than those families that apply? Can anybody else donate or volunteer if they want to? And how can they do so?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, Habitat is really about engagement. So, volunteerism is a huge part of what we do, our identity. And so, yes, the answer is always yes. So, no matter where you are in the United States or in another country, you can try to find your local affiliate. And so, the best way to do that, you can go to habitat.org. They have, which is international site, and basically you can search for your local affiliate. So that's a really great way to find the closest habitat to you and an area or way you could get engaged. Another fun way to do it is if you're traveling, that's kind of a fun way. So if you're going somewhere where there's another habitat, you can try to say, hey, is there a way for me to volunteer this one day? Or if you're in another country. We also do international trips. So we could send a trip somewhere else in the world to volunteer and work. But yeah, donors are the lifeblood of Habitat as well. So unless we're able to raise the money to help subsidize our work wouldn't exist. So there's a reason why people don't build affordable housing, because there's no money in it.
No, makes sense.
So you have to be able to balance those scales. So we highly encourage people to get involved and give in a way that's meaningful to them.
Mm-hmm. Lovely.
Wow. Yeah, I love that.
So for those people that want to travel and then possibly go on one of the Habitat for Humanity's trips, how would one be alerted to that? Or can they maybe subscribe to something where they could be alerted to a trip? How could one do that?
Yeah. So on that site, habitat.org, there's a section for, they call it Global Village Trips. Right now, because of COVID, they have been put on hold and have not been reinstituted. So through international, currently they're not open, but that's where you could go, how you could go on an international trip. Now you can also do the reverse. So for example, if you wanted to come here in Central Florida, sometimes local affiliates will put together their own thing that they do, that they go together and take a trip. But that would be on a case-by-case basis with that local affiliate or host country. Nice. So, but yeah, the habitat.org site will be a wealth of knowledge, and they're called Global Village Trips.
That's awesome. I'd definitely be interested to go on something like that.
Yeah, they're very fun. The last one I went to was Honduras. I just recently got back from the Bahamas as well, because our affiliate did some disaster relief over there. So I went to go check it out after all the hurricanes. It's been like 2 years-ish. So
wow. Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Okay.
Your little dog in the background. I'm sorry. He's just like licking the air.
Isn't he cute?
So cute.
I commented it earlier on. Yeah, for those people that are
Dog-sitting my
listening,
sister.
we're looking at Shelby right now on his Zoom video, and in the back of his Zoom video, he has his sister's doggy, and it's so cute. What's your doggy's name again, Shelbs?
His name's Rocket.
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 Yep.
Perfect little mascot for the Wild Places podcast here.
Right,
Yes.
exactly. So we have a cute little Rocket joining us on our podcast today. So that's so awesome.
Yep.
But so Danielle, back to what we were saying. Where can people reach out if you need assistance from Habitat for Humanity? We've already spoken about if we wanted to help, where could we go? But if, say, something disastrous happened, where could people reach out for assistance? Is there such a thing? I mean, maybe there's not even.
Yeah. So once again, it's going to depend on where they're at in the world. So naturally, if there's someone here in my area, I provide programs and services to families in Lake County and Sumter County. If something happened here, they would contact us directly. So our web address is habitatls.org. and our phone number and all that information is on there. So our phone number is 352-483-0434. Now, if someone called me and they were in a different state or different area, I could definitely direct them on finding that leadership and how to connect them to that local affiliate. So the other thing, like I said, that they can do, if depending upon where they are in the world, they can always go to that habitat.org site and search for that local, because they're always going to have to make the request to that local region, whatever that may be, wherever that may be.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's good to know, because I do and will have all the information in the show notes and in all the information areas on the YouTube. So don't worry about that. But also, if you are listening, you can just stop and rewind and play it again and write it down. So thank you so much. So last question I just wanted to ask from you, Danielle, is why do you do what you do?
So great question. You know, I'm of the philosophy that you should be spending your time on something that you feel is valuable and that makes you feel alive. You know, I never wanted a job just to have a job. And I understand some people are in the position where they do just need to make a living. They have whatever their situation may be. I get that. But I've been fortunate enough to be able to find a career that is very fulfilling to me, but I also know that the time that I'm putting into others is making the world a better place and is trying to address some of the challenges that we have in this world. Okay. So, you know, I had a hard time, you know, just maybe sitting idly by knowing that something's happening here and not trying to figure out, hey, can I help somehow, right? So it took me a little while to figure out what that is. And it's different for everybody, right? So Shelby, you do insurance, but, you know, maybe you're changing the world in another way. Or through that, maybe you're helping people who really, really need that. So it just depends on the lens you have. But for me, I love doing this because the families that I get to work with are so amazing. And if I can give them a little bit of hope and a step in building their future that they can pass down to their next generation, then I'm happy to do that. You know, as a mom, I know that that's very important. So, and a lot of families don't get that chance.
Right.
It's true. Yep. I'm a big supporter of that. It's amazing.
That is so cool. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. And talking about Shelby, we were just talking about the fine writing that people don't really read when it comes to signing up insurances for your homes and for your cars. And we were just about to ask Shelby as well, a story maybe has of where a client either wasn't covered when they thought they were covered when it comes to their house, or maybe something happened and they were covered, you know, fire, flooding, whatever it may be. So over to you, Shelbs. Give us your story.
Thank you. Yes. Hopefully I don't have something too lengthy. You know, as you kind of mentioned me to think of something, coincidentally, I got an email last week from someone that we had met through our networking group. Let me get him up here. And this is a perfect case. I'll actually, if you guys are fine with it, I'll just read it off to you, but I'll leave a little out so there's no personal information here.
Right. I mean, the main thing is, you know, people listening, insurance can be really complicated. And it's nice to hear examples or advice like you gave earlier on, to always just phone your insurance just to make double sure that you are covered for a trip that someone else might be driving your car, or so on and so forth. So these stories are good. We like to hear these stories. We can always learn something from them.
Yeah, so I'll repeat it again. Never assume with insurance. Always call if you have an agent. Always call them. Always call your insurance carrier. Never assume. And I will say in California, you know, lately, I mean, only thing you'll ever hear about right now, insurance related, is going to be wildfires. So just to give you a little more with wildfires, insurance period, your home is your responsibility. Making sure you have enough coverage is your responsibility. So if you tell an agent, you know, what is it? We're not the ones in trenches building. We don't, you know, we're not contractors. We don't really know. So we always advise, check with the contractor. They're going to be your best bet on if you have enough coverage. Let's see. So I'd say that for fire. Other misconceptions with insurance is we're here for kind of the unforeseen events. I get a lot of calls for people wanting claims when it comes to maintenance items. You know, we're not here as a maintenance company. So if your roof's 30 years old, your policy won't repair an old roof because it's old and it's leaking. Generally, with insurance, something has to happen to trigger a policy. like a wildfire. Fire would be that peril that would trigger your policy. Are you covered for fire? If yes, then it pays for whatever damage that fire causes. So I'd say there's a lot of confusion with that, but it's rare to see coverage for maintenance, wear and tear, old items.
Right.
And then on a
Lisa?
yeah. Then I'd say on a personal line, just like we were speaking about earlier, Shireen, I had a client email me. Basically, she says, my daughter and her fiance bought a new Jeep Cherokee last year. It's a 2021. It's in his name. My daughter was driving it yesterday, got into an accident. It's her fault. She pulled out in front of somebody. And what they found out at the time of the accident is her fiance had not paid the insurance the month before. Apparently, he was on the phone making the payment when this accident occurred. They called the insurance company and they said, so sorry, so sad, there's nothing we could do about it. So they didn't cover that accident, missed payment. So again, daughter borrowing husband's car, insurance always follows the vehicle. So that is true. So always know that your insurance is going to follow your car. Make sure it's paid. Daughter didn't know that her husband hadn't paid the insurance, got into an accident. And this is some differences where if you have an agent, you have a relationship. I mean, if you're with a company and you're calling the 1-800 line and this happens, there's no one to go to bat for you. There's no one to try to say, maybe something happened, maybe someone caught COVID, was in the hospital last 2 weeks, like whatever it could be. But again, another importance to just not treat insurance as a commodity where it's just chasing price, because now all of a sudden, who's going to pay for this $30,000 car? And when you build relationships, let's say you've been with me 5 years, you've never missed payments and something like this happens, I'm going to go to bat for you.
Good.
So I'd say these are differences, that we see in the insurance world. And again, you get what you pay for. So I'd say, try to build relationships and try to have ongoing history. So when the uncertainties of life happen, you're in good hands. That's what I'd say.
Because that would be my next question is if I've been paying for my insurance for the past 5 years nonstop, never missed a payment, and I accidentally missed 1 month and something happens, I would hope in some way that my history, my credit would show, and that they would at least, want to help me in a situation and not just say, oh, sorry, you didn't pay this month, can't help you,
Yep. We see it go both ways. So,
Yeah, it's very
and when we do see
interesting.
these things being covered, it's the ones that have some kind of loyalty, been with us a long time, and you'll
That's
always
very
get a little more.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, just make sure you pay.
It won't be a problem.
Pay and always call your agent. Always. I will always say that again. Don't you assume.
Call Shelby.
Yes. Call me.
Right. I love that. Okay. Awesome. Guys, again, you guys are so awesome. So we've come to the part of the podcast that's called Story Time or Ask a Question. So we're going to do Ask a Question. So I'm going to ask you guys if you have any questions for me. It could be about my life, South Africa, business, anything. And we can start with the ladies. Danielle, what is your question?
All right. So my question is, what would you recommend as one of the coolest or fun, most exciting, whatever words you want to use, things to do in your area? Like if someone were to travel to your area, what would you recommend? Look at that face.
Okay, that's a good question. Since I moved,
So many good options, right?
Right, I moved to this area last year, September. But if we're looking at KwaZulu-Natal as a province, I'm on the coast. So I would say in October, we've got the Belito Pro, which is a very big surfing competition. And we get a few of these surfing competitions on this coast. And they're a lot of fun. It's the atmosphere. It's just, and normally there's a catwalk. So there's lots of restaurants and places to sit and eat. And you can go, if you don't want to do that, you can go sit on the beach and tan or go swim. And if you go further down the coast towards Durban, you're going to find the awesome Ushaka Marine World, which is not only this massive old shipwreck that they've transported and put on the coast there, but they've made it into an aquarium inside.
Cool.
So they've turned this entire shipwreck into an aquarium inside and out, as well as a beautiful restaurant. So if you're not into aquariums and you're quite into fining and dining, they have this restaurant called the Cargo Hold, which you sit and eat while sharks swim around you.
Oh, cool.
Right.
Yeah. Love that.
So that's a lot of fun. And if that still doesn't tickle your fancy and you more want to be in the water surfing, they've got stand-up boarding. They also have the Wet and Wild. So there's a swim park there with all the slides. So you can go and relax there in the massive pool and have a cocktail if you want. Other than that, there is beautiful hiking trails more inland. So as you go towards the Drakensberg, you have the beautiful places to stay there. And the higher you go, we've just got snow. So if you had come now, you would have found the snow, but you would have to go really up high to go and see it.
What's the highest elevation you guys have there?
Oh gosh, now you're asking.
No, I'm asking for geography question. If you don't know the answer, that's okay. I'm not trying to stump you.
No, I actually don't. That's such a good question.
Also, you're probably going to tell me like in kilometers or something, and then I'm going to have to do the math. It's going to be a whole
Right.
right.
Yes, that would. But yeah, I mean, it's beautiful here. It's got some amazing places to stay, and if you are a meandering kind of person, which is more going to different farms and seeing the different things that they sell, they've got a meander, Midlands meander, that you can take your car and there's a map. It starts at the waterfall. There's a waterfall and an information place. You can get a map and you can just plot your route and where you want to go and what stops you want to make. And there's beautiful places to stop and,
Cool.
Buy the different farm things or just handcrafted bowls and plates. And that's stunning. Good question. I could go on forever. So
I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'm ready.
I am too. That was a good question.
Shelby, you ready? Let's do it, man.
I'm ready. Let's go.
You got to come. You have to come. I would love to have you guys. I mean, that's my biggest thing. Value of BNI is building relationships. And it is, ever since I've started there, I've met some great people and I can't wait for you guys to come and visit. I've opened my home to you guys. I'm happy to take all of you in. So yeah, Shelby.
Hey.
What's your question? If you have one. You don't have to have
one. Danielle, well, I know you spoke a lot about your work. I was just, I don't really have any really good creative ones. I guess Florida, Central Florida. I think I've been to South Beach when I was really young, a lot younger, but something more on your career wise, just day to day, what are your day-to-day challenges and successes look like just in your business? Like what is a challenge? Like, yeah.
Yes, good question.
So definitely one of the day-to-day challenges is that there's way more need than we have the ability to fulfill.
Got it.
We could never provide enough currently. I say this in a current state, right? Because I try to think of the perspective of future bounty, right? Okay. So currently there's way more people that need help than we can help.
Got it.
And even then, so specifically talking about housing, right? So there's the spectrum of housing. Okay. So you have like chronic homelessness, and then you have situational homelessness. And then you have people who just need an entry level position, right? Rental, that type of thing. And then you have entry level homeownership. That's where we come in. So in our community specifically, there's a very few of anything else on that latter part of the spectrum. And that's why we began our repair program so long ago, because some of these mobile homes, you would look at it and think, God, that needs to be bulldozed. Why are you doing anything there? And I would say, well, if we don't do something, this person is going to be living in the forest. So this is their best situation. And sometimes it's difficult to think in that way, but it's the balance of trying to create some, just a little bit of dignity for someone in a certain day.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's definitely one of the challenges. And then you said successes, like what does a daily success look like?
Yeah.
So one of my favorite things that I get to do is I get to go and be at every closing and house dedication with each family.
Nice.
So it's like, you might have had a really long week, a long month. And I'm like, man, I'm getting ragged. I'm getting tired. Anyone that knows me, I'm kind of like an Energizer bunny. But, sometimes you just get to that point, even when you're doing things that you love, that you just feel tired, right?
Right.
But then I get to hand the keys over to a family and the look on their face is just it's all worth it. It all becomes worth it at that point. So that's what keeps you going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
That is-
Now, not to interrupt or anything, but just now with your challenge, needing way more help than obviously than resources are available. Could people help it like you guys just by volunteering? That would make a big difference.
Yeah.
Okay,
Definitely.
awesome. Okay.
Definitely.
That's awesome.
I mean, of course, with this, so housing and people's economic level, right? So job training, things like that, they're very intertwined.
Mhm.
So someone's ability to get to their job, so transportation, all of this really in a society has to get looked at together.
Right.
So depending upon where you are, there's more difficulty in some areas than others. So, like you compare the wage of California to where we are, and it's very different, but the cost of living is very different.
Right.
Mhm.
So, but yes, always,
Yes.
many
All right.
hands make work light is the good phrase to remember.
Right. That's so cool.
No,
Good
it is.
question, Shelby. Yeah, man, that's
Thanks,
awesome.
Sheree.
Thanks for
Well,
sharing.
and I got one for you, Shireen, if you got a second. I'm just curious, since we're in a podcast right now, how did you get in, like, why podcasting, or what is your interest here?
So that obviously before I was retrenched, I was part of the aviation industry for about 11 years of my life.
Yeah.
And I didn't have time. It was all about flying hours, and then the time that I had to myself, it would be, I would try and do some workouts, or I would have to go to the bank shops. I didn't have time to do anything really. So all the little things that I've always wanted to try and do in my life, like start a podcast. I always gave the excuse of, oh, I'm too old. Oh no, I mean, I don't have time. When am I going to do something? What would I talk about? And in fact, Shelby, you might know this, but I have a little bit of a speech difficulty. So I struggle sometimes, and I might get into a brain fog, or I'll go blank and I stutter. It's with practice, it gets better. But I always thought to myself, oh no, I can't do a podcast. I would be pathetic at a podcast. So I always made excuses. So when I was retrenched, I kind of said to myself, well, I am 37 this year. So I've now pretty much lost everything. So it's either now or never. I might as well do all the things that I was too scared to do previously. So I started my own business and formed it in California. I started a podcast called Wild Friends from Wild Places. And there's some other stuff that got tucked up in my wing that I want to try and do. And if you don't do it now, you're always going to make excuses for it. So I think that was the main reason, Shelby, that I decided to do this. And I will continue trying to challenge myself.
You're
So,
excellent. You're natural at this. Just so
Yeah, I
really
think
good.
you're
Yeah.
so great.
I appreciate it. And I, again, being in BNI in our chapter and having to do presentations to you guys, it has built my confidence up and my practice and speech up. So it does help to practice. It does not help to be isolated in your house 24/7 and you don't speak to anybody and you don't practice to speak, because I do notice that when I do that to myself and then try and go out in the real world and maybe go for coffee with my family and speak, I am rusty, and you can hear that I mix my words up. And so it's quite interesting how your speech can actually backtrack if you don't keep using it. Well, for me, I'm just saying.
I would have never
So,
known that if you never mentioned it. Yep.
oh,
Yeah, I wouldn't either. And you know what? I love that you faced that fear, even if it was something that was only a fear of you. I'll never forget, I took a yoga class from someone, and she was an amazing teacher. And she had a slight speech difficulty. And I thought to myself, I love it. I love that she didn't let that stop her from becoming a teacher, because she was a really good teacher, when many people would let it stop them.
right.
Doesn't need to be looked at as anything that's bad. Maybe it's just a little different. So
Yep. Yep.
Well,
I'm a big
that's
supporter of that.
right. And that's so true. I think I just fear. Also, fear's a big thing. I mean, if you know that you struggle to speak you kind of shy away from doing anything public speaking, presentations, anything in front of people. And then the less you do it, the better. I mean, I didn't have to speak as a cabin controller. You just enforce rules. You do the rules, or you get off the plane. What do you want to do? You should know that always. So I mean, I joke about it, but it's a fear thing, and it takes a lot to get over that fear and actually do it. So thanks for that question. I really appreciate it, Shelby. And talking about questions, I know there's listeners out there that have been listening to your stories and might have connected with you, or might want to know a little bit more about you. Is there, where can they find you? Is there something, maybe an email or a LinkedIn page they can just message you on if they want to just ask you more questions or reach out to you? Shelby, what about you?
You can find me online. You can Google Shelby De Leon and Farmers Insurance. I have a Farmers Associated website as well as a LinkedIn, but that's most likely all you'll find.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And what about yourself, Danielle?
So you could always send me an email, Danielle, DANIELLE @habitatls.org. I do also have Facebook. I do not check it very often. So Danielle Stroud would be who you would find for Facebook. So those are probably the easiest ways to get a hold of me or ask questions, especially if it's someone from another area.
Right. Yeah. And then you can find me, Friends from Wild Places, the podcast, on the YouTube, where you can like, comment, subscribe. You can find me personally on LinkedIn as well, Shireen Buerta, and share the podcast, do all the things, because your support is really needed. The website for the podcast is friendsfromwildplaces.buzzsprout.com. That's friendsfromwildplaces.buzzsprout.com. You can find all of that information in the show notes, so don't worry if you struggle to keep up with all that information. But thanks so much. We did go over a little bit longer today, but I'm glad for all your support and for all the listening. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next time. And remember, you got this, and stay wild. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Friends from Wild Places with Shireen Buerta. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast from the links to catch every episode and unleash your passion.